Entrepreneurs. Building in the Middle East.
We're live.
We're live. G'day, Sam. How
Wow.
you doing?
First podcast.
First podcast.
Origin.
Golf
Launching it.
Founders. Here we go.
Wow.
It's live.
First of 10, first of 100. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. So, Sam, why Golf Founders, mate?
I know. Why are we doing this? Why don't we go back to the pub? You know, we're at the pub. We're catching up infrequently, as we do for like 10 years, I think. It's always been fun, catching up with you. I suppose the first reason we're doing this is because it's fun catching up with you. We're good mates after this time of all these years doing entrepreneurship in the Middle East. And I think that last time we caught up, we were just saying that maybe other people would be interested to hear our tips and tricks and learnings along our journey and create some value for other people.
Yeah, absolutely,
So,
mate. And
what
I
about
think
you?
that catching up that we have, we always have supported each other in our founding stories over such a long time now. And as the logo that we have here, we've got over 25 years experience as founders here in the region. And there's always ups and downs, there's challenges, there's different, things that we are each individually addressing at any given point in time. And I know that we've certainly helped each other out over a lot of years. And I think starting a business in the Gulf region is a unique challenge. And coming out here, as many of us have done over the years, you don't know exactly what you're getting into. And there's such a great opportunity to learn from people like ourselves, other founders in the region, about how things work out here, just the unique challenges of being in the Gulf, and the unique challenges of being a founder in general. And so I think here it gives us a great excuse to connect more frequently, talk about what's happening, and then, as we've talked about, bring on other founders in the region as well. So it's exciting to get started with this.
Probably is a bit of a selfish reason for doing it too, isn't it? Because we both learn from each other a hell of a lot all the time. And also for doing this podcast, it definitely is a proactive approach for us to also be keeping our finger on the pulse in the market with tech and with business as well. And I think even though that we both are coming from a tech background, there's a lot of lessons that can be used for companies which are non-tech related.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think though everything is going tech, and every business needs AI today. So I think a lot of the findings that we share, will be super valuable for our listeners.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I guess that goes on to what we aim to talk about in the podcast in general. And I think there's a few areas of focus. Of course, the name gives it away. It's the founders, so it's talking about business, about entrepreneurship. We'll be talking about, like I mentioned before, what are the unique aspects of starting a company in the region. Also, what are the latest initiatives that are coming out here, about setting up companies and the investment space and things around this. And of course, both of us have that background and a passion in technology. Of course, you've already mentioned AI. I'm sure that will be a persistent conversation for a long time to come. What tools we are using, how it's influencing our businesses and other businesses here in the area.
Also, don't forget, we can learn from others as well. So we've got a long list of customers and partners and friends who are also on this journey with us. So already so many of my friends and customers have said yes to come in, and we can listen to them and we can ask them questions and learn from them as well. So that's going to be so fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Create value for everyone. That's, I think, the primary focus here. And not just for Dubai, but for the Middle East region as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
For all entrepreneurs.
Do you remember, talking about entrepreneurship, do you remember how we actually met?
I don't even remember. Actually, I don't remember at all. I think we were
I-
introduced by a common friend, though. But
That's right. It goes back to BNI, which we were both members of back some years back, and it was a classic kind of referral here, and talk about adding value. Like I think at the time, I had someone that needed a website, and then I got referred into Spiraclick and into you. So that goes back a long time. And I remember we got together at, I think it was the Els Golf Club, if I'm remembering that rightly. And we did the classic kind of BNI introduction. I've long since left BNI behind, but the best thing I got out of BNI was all the good mates, including yourself.
I don't think you were even in BNI when we met, though. Correct.
I might have already left. Yeah, I might have already left, but it was through a BNI connection certainly that it came about.
No, I think like BNI is fantastic. It's, for maybe everyone else listening, it's one of many business networking groups within the Middle East and across the world. It's a fantastic tool for entrepreneurship, and who knows, we're even bringing a couple of BNI people who are still in BNI maybe to hear what's going on in BNI. That could be a good interview as well.
You remember as well, we had to do like a 1 minute introduction to the company. Do you think you can still do a 1 minute intro to Spiraclick?
Mate, I was in BNI for 10 years. So 10 years of doing elevator pitches of Spiraclick and myself, like this is a no-brainer. So I think like these skills you learn, and for everyone, I think it is a great tip to go out there and get into networking physically, even though we're super digital these days. So fine, here we go. So for people that don't know me, I'm the co-owner of Spiraclick, spiraclick.com. We're going 15 years this year, founded in 2012, and today we have 75 staff. We are a software house and building all type of tech, digital transformation, web, app, implementing Odoo and other third-party solutions, e-commerce, hosting, you name it basically. And based in Dubai. What about yourself? Nice. It was a bit rusty.
Yeah, mate, that was good. Damian, one of the co-founders of Capitech, very similar kind of trajectory as you guys. So we started in 2013. So we've got just over 50 staff now working for us, and we do focus on everything related to digital learning. So what we're most famous for is our custom e-learning solution. So we work with lots of big corporates doing their onboarding, compliance programs, various soft and technical skills. But we also do other related solutions like learning management systems, which Sam and I have collaborated on a lot in the past. Metaverse learning, we've got lots of partnerships for library and accreditation content now too. And the thing that I'm being most heavily involved with in the last, say, 12 months is building out our AI solutions related to learning. So AI tutors, AI feedback, AI scenarios and coaching. I don't even think I've shown you that one yet, Sam. It's something I've just been building in the last weeks. So really just kind of augmenting what we're doing digital learning wise and leveraging AI as much as possible. So 13 years. Customers like government sector or sectors that you guys specialize in? Yeah, so I remember, and I guess we'll talk more about the origins later in this podcast or another podcast, but our big break came with DP World, who we're actually still working with. So, of course, massive logistics company doing all their global e-learning, which is very, very cool. But we've worked with Majid Al Futtaim and Cartier and Gucci and Dubai Holding and Dubai Airport and Dubai Police and as well as like federal government and variety of clients in Saudi Arabia as well. So it's got. I have to pinch myself every now and again. Lots of banks too, I should say. Like the client list we got is it's quite incredible.
So impressive. It really is. So, I'm super impressed. That's the first thing that got me when I checked you guys out all those years ago. And that was a long time ago, actually.
Yeah.
Super
I mean,
impressive.
you need to get one. That's the key. I mean, if there's one kind of, whatever you do, try and get that first key client. And I don't know if you have a similar story, but once we had DP World, then the next time it'd be kind of, blue chip corporate client came to us. It's like, who do you work with? I go, oh, we work with DP World, and we might have only just started working with them, but we've got a great partnership there, and they kind of happily refer us in and give us testimonials and all that. It just makes so much difference, that credibility.
It's a really good point, actually. Like, I'm just thinking when we started, and just by chance, we got an inquiry from Paris Garley, which is not even around anymore. But for people that are new to the country, it was a huge retailer back in the day. They had the biggest floor space in all the malls, if you remember. We got an inquiry to do an application for them. We won it. And then off the back of that, similar to you, start getting us foot in the door with hotels and other opportunities. I think, especially when you're new, we're probably super excited. All that passion and excitement to win those big deals, like, it comes through. I think companies do love working with startups because they see that passion and excitement as well. So you're right. I mean, it really does. To get that key client, firstly, can really give you a springboard to go get more customers in the same segment or scale or size as a case study.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like if people are watching this and they're not here in the region yet, I think it's so pivotal that you and this might sound like an obvious thing to say, but you need to be here. You need to be in the region, because what I've seen because we've done a lot of trade shows in the past, because that's where our clients are often at and shopping there. We see a lot of clients or companies that are visiting and they're testing the waters. But if you don't have a Dubai or UAE number, and it's even more so in Saudi Arabia, I've got to say, where's your office in Riyadh or Jeddah? Like, what's the address? Like, they check your...
Everyone asks this. Why does everyone... You have to tell me, I have to interrupt here. Why does everyone ask, where is your address? Again, it just came up last week as well.
Well, I feel like it's testing to see, are you actually here? Like, because there are so many companies that might have a single kind of BD person on the ground, and they might not even have a company set up at all, first of all. And if I talk like on the Saudi experience, where it's even more prevalent, like in the UAE, because you've got multiple Emirates and so on, that address it's still important, but what I've seen in Saudi is that there's a fatigue on companies that are trying to come in, make a buck, and never actually set up there. So that's always like when we do shows. Before we had the company there, the partnership there, it was like, we're setting up. Okay, well, let us know when you do set up. And so until you actually had that organization there just wasn't an interest to do business. Now it's even like in some sectors, particularly government, it's impossible to do business there unless
100%.
you are locally represented.
Yeah. Saudi is such an interesting piece, isn't it? It feels like even though it's just across the pond, it's a really different way of doing business. So I think there could be a few podcasts about Saudi as well. And
100%.
So many UAE businesses have been looking at Saudi and getting their toes in the water over there for the last few years. I would say since at least 2022. Really wanting to get more in there, and it's ups and downs as well, isn't it? Like it's a super different market when you wouldn't think it would be different at all because it's so close to Dubai and UAE. But it's
I think
it's a challenging market. It's got its own challenges.
Yeah, I think because it's just very recently opened up as well. I mean, I think we need to dedicate podcasts specifically for this, but given how the reforms that have happened there in the last just handful of years, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I lived there before I came to Dubai in 2009, so 17 years. 17 years ago, I lived in Saudi, and the comparison it's completely unrecognizable. So I think there's a lot of fodder there for it.
That could be actually a very popular podcast. We could probably bring our friends in for that one as well. Get some other insights about Saudi and doing business in Saudi. But what about for today? Why don't we continue on for like a little bit of a deeper dive introduction into who is Capitech, who is SpiroClick, just for the record. Yep. And also just selfishly, like there are stuff there that I've never asked you. So I'd love to ask you a few questions about your origin story as well.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think I've heard this on other podcasts before where one of the best excuses to do a podcast with someone that you know quite well is you get to ask them questions that you either should have already known the answer to or you might be a bit embarrassed to ask. So, yeah, let's do it, mate.
Let's do it. I was even thinking we should just get a dirham coin and flip it to see who goes first. Total Dubai style. Get a dirham. Who carries coins today? No one carries coins.
Yeah, exactly. I'll flip my Apple Pay wallet or something.
No, I looked around the office for a coin. I couldn't find any.
Yeah, I'm out of luck too.
So,
I'll go first, mate. So I don't know if I know the answer to this question actually, but what was it that brought you to Dubai?
I didn't think I've ever told you either. I'll be honest with you. Like I was working in corporate back in Australia. I was studying part-time, working full-time, building a career over there. And then a couple of my friends, I got the travel bug really, very honestly. It was a very basic reason for initially coming over here. And they were traveling all over Europe, having so much fun. What was it, like Kentucky tours? Remember, that's a big thing in Dubai. No one else probably knows Kentucky tours unless you're Aussie. And seeing all these photos on Facebook, and I was like, oh man, I need to do some travel. That looks so much fun. So did a little bit of traveling and then just started applying for jobs abroad and build my career path, which was marketing, digital marketing, and planning to get a job in the Middle East just because it's such a center of the world location. Like it's an easy place to do more travel. So and then get some international experience with my marketing industry. So initially, that's what got me to Dubai, which was in 2006. So got a couple of jobs in big corporates with their in-house marketing, which was fine. It ticked the box, and 2 years later, global financial crisis came. So that was extremely scary. I think you were here at the time as well, if I'm not mistaken. And so many, like the floor just dropped out of all of us, and so many people fled, and cars left at the airport famously, and just had people abandon the place. So then, thankfully, I was working in big corporate, so my job was safe and survived that. But what got me to start the origin story of SpiroClick was also before the global financial crisis. Everyone was making money. It was crazy money back then, wasn't it? And real estate was crazy. It was the Wild West. Just like everyone else was doing. I had no idea when it came to investing at all. I was young, in my early 20s, and I was like, I could make some money from real estate. I was so naive back then. I had no idea about investing, but me and my mate, we put some money into a property. Everyone's flipping. So we put some money into a property. We're like, we'll flip it. We'll make some money. Everyone is doing it. And then global financial crisis came, and everything just panic stations. And it was an off plan, as everything was. And I lost my money. And it was such a kick up the arse to take investing more seriously. So long story short, the next 3 years, 2008, 9, 10, and up until 2012, I was like, okay, if I'm going to invest more money into investments, I want to know what I'm doing and not waste more money. So I literally just went on a self-learning phase of my life while working full-time, reading a hell of a lot of like Rich Dad Poor Dad and fantastic investment books, learning the basics. And through that journey of self-education, I then learned that business is a form of investment. So then I started playing around with starting up businesses. And it was just a fun journey. I enjoyed the journey of learning, putting together a business plan, seeing the opportunity, what is the solution, and business plan after business plan. I I've usually found something which probably not a good idea to go down that path. And then probably one of the best tips that I ever received, which was from my uncle in Perth, who had a very successful 40-year-long veterinary practice. He said very simply to me, start a business that you know well. It sounds so obvious, do a business in the sector that you understand really well, which sounds, and I didn't believe him. I tried more business plans in completely different sectors, like crazy sectors like coffee. I don't even drink coffee. I was going to start a business in coffee trading. I don't even drink coffee. But he was right? So then I came around and said, okay, I know marketing, I know digital, maybe I should look there. So then I started a tech company. So just went onto Googled website agencies in Dubai. My business partner's previous company was at the top. I got a couple of quotes from a couple of people, a couple of agencies, and decided to go with them. And I was his client to build a tech company for me. Through that journey, I got to know him. He was the CTO at his previous company. And then we decided, let's do our own. So we started our own agency and went for it. And it was just organic. There's a lot of luck. In regards to finding your co-owner, I'd love to speak to you about how you also met Jason. And it was actually the other businesses, they were all on business plans, and I never really invested money into starting those ones. But this one just felt right. It was the right time. It was the right place. And thankfully, in hindsight, I've been asked this question before, finding the co-owner, finding your partner, business partner is so luck of the draw. It's a lot of luck, isn't it? Others 100%. Who are single business owners and said to me, I would like to find a business partner. So difficult to have two people from different backgrounds that align with the same vision.
Yeah.
In the same industry at the same time. It's just complete luck. I can't say anything else in regards to finding the right business partners, or some of our friends who have more than, two business owners. It's really challenging, but I think it's a fantastic advantage in a business. And we do actually see so many businesses that have more than one founder, right? I think it really makes it more enjoyable too, I think. Makes life a little bit more fun and not so lonely. So
yeah, I can't imagine starting or having done what we've done over the last 13 years by myself, being a solo founder. And my hat's off to those guys. You kind of got to balance yourselves out. When someone's struggling with something, then the other one can support, and vice versa. And you come in with different perspectives. You hear horror stories as well about people that went in with the wrong the wrong co-founders as well. So,
correct.
There's so much luck that comes into that. But I wouldn't have it anyway. But I do realize how lucky I've been as well to find the right co-founder.
Wow. How do we want to do this? Do you want to respond to the same question, and then we go to another question?
Yeah, sure. So, how did I get to Dubai? If anyone hasn't picked it up yet, our accents are both clearly quite Australian, and probably gets more Australian the longer the podcast goes for. As you kind of continue the banter a little bit. So my I guess origin story in the Middle East was I was a military officer in Australia. I was in the Australian Air Force. I did that for about 10 years, and I was in a very particular niche, controlling fighter aircraft, a fighter controller they call it, or airspace battle manager, and there aren't too many I guess international opportunities for that job outside of being specifically with the military or military contractors. But I managed to find one, and so I got originally my first job outside the military was still working within a military context, and that was in Saudi Arabia. Like I mentioned, I went there in 2006, and I was working for British Aerospace, and I was training fighter controllers in the Saudi Air Force for about 2.5 years. And I was quite young. I was, I think, late 20s at the time, and I did that for a couple of years. And then miraculously, another opportunity came to up in the UAE, and so that was training the UAE military. And this time I was in uniform in UAE military, and I had rank and everything, which was crazy. And I did that for about 5.5 years as well. And
So cool.
like, I'm not sure I had the best way to put this, but I was teaching kind of the same thing that I've been teaching for a long time, and like the basic kind of level. And I wanted something a bit more challenging, and there wasn't many growth opportunities there in the role. So I went and finished my master's degree in international relations, of all things. I started building apps as well. Like I built a couple of mobile apps as the iPhone in particular was taking off. So I was getting back into the technical side. My first degree was in computer science, so coding and everything. I was getting back into that. And so I was playing around with all these kind of tools, and then and that's when I met my co-founder Jason, and talk about luck. We just happened to be sharing an office, and it was 50-50. A couple of guys came in with Jason, and he could have been in the other office, but it just so happened he ended up in mine, and we kicked it off, and he was quite curious about what could be done. He started building like websites and different things like that, and then and again, long story short, like it was around the time the iPad first came out, soon after that. So where we were working, they bought a whole bunch of iPads, and this is how I tell the story, is that they decided to put PDFs onto those iPads, and arguably it was a step backwards. This is before there was even an Apple Pencil, and so it was arguably worse than what they had before with Notepad and pen. I thought, okay, surely I was, like I said, building those apps, so can't we do better than that? And that's where it all started. So we started building interactive like ebooks that were just for iPad to start with, and we won a small contract with a golf club. We did actually a marketing thing for them, and then it built, and then eventually it took probably a few years to get that right product market fit. Like we were focused very much on that iPad market, and there was all kinds of things around that we didn't like, and then eventually, okay,
with like interactive ebooks, you're saying like a PDF
exactly, yeah,
interactive, so it's not like a SCORM or anything like this.
No,
it's just the content.
Yes, exactly. So what it was is like it was called iBooks back then. They still got something similar, but it's kind of like an interactive PDF. So like you could put a video in there, you could put like different basic interactions. You could put some audio, and you could put like a quiz, but it didn't report or track anywhere. So it was very limited, and it certainly didn't go onto a learning management system, and you had to have like an Apple device. So it was so restricted. But we were using that and other kind of similar solutions for a while, until we came across authoring tools like Articulate, which is SCORM compliant, which can then go onto client platforms, do all the tracking and reporting and all the kind of things that actually we realized after a while that was critical for people that want to do e-learning to be able to track. So yeah.
When did you think it was going to become a company more so than like a side hustle?
Yeah, so I remember that for about a year, we were working together, kind of building, prospects and building like collateral and all this. And I remember it was the air show. I guess it was the air show in 2013, and I pitched someone on an iBook at the air show, but we didn't even have a business card. We hadn't even decided on the company name yet, and so we're like, oh, we got to finalize the company name. Like, I can't go around trying to sell this and not even have an email address. It was almost, it's such a joke thinking back on it. But anyhow, get your product.
Or how you even got contracts like that. Like how you even expected that they would sign up with me and give me money. Exactly. So I remember I was on the bus back from the air show and to the I don't know where we're going, to the car park or something. I said, right, we've got to finalise the company name. So we went, okay, we were playing around names, and that's where then we thought, okay, let's just do Capitec. And I'll tell the story from behind Capitec another time. We'd love to know.
So that was the day I bought Capitec.com, and that was kind of became the anniversary for Capitec. And then I stayed in that military for about another year. before I went full time, and like I thought, okay, we got enough traction. It's probably financially it was too early, but I had some savings and so on. But I just wanted to really invest, and do it full time and give it a go. And so I went full time. 2014,
And Jason,
I guess.
He jumped before you or after you?
After. So he came pretty much a year after. So it's almost like in 1 year increments. So 2013, we probably bought the domain. Later, we registered the company. We didn't register the company straight away because we didn't need to because we had sponsorship. And I guess we took, I can't even remember now, I guess we took payments into our own personal accounts or something initially. I can't remember. And then I went full-time a year after we set up, and then Jason went full-time about a year after that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's so cool. That's I love the story. I've got some questions off the back of that, but do you want me to tell the SparkClick, similar sort of question of because it's a continuation of the origin story. So similar to where you went off and I stopped, we started the company in 2012 and we did something very similar. I think this is probably a very normal trajectory, and we work with so many entrepreneurs even today. And so I always encourage them, keep your full-time job, don't just sign our contract and then quit your full-time job. We need some time to build your tech. Right, so I think so. What we did is Amjad, my business partner, he was the first to jump. We set up the company, and he just jumped. I was working as within in-house marketing, so had a pretty good salary. So I thought, and we thought, let's play it safe. Like you, we had some savings. I think we had I'll be very transparent with this podcast. We had 100,000 each. We put aside 100,000 each for the business, and we said, let's give it a go, and then if it runs out, we'll go back to become employees. Else, hopefully that's enough capital to get the business started. So we both had 100,000, and he started, and then I jumped 6 months later. Similar to you, he was bringing on clients and working on projects. We had a small team. I think when we started, we had a team of 3 full-time staff already, and it was 1 designer and 2 developers, and they worked on the projects for 6 months, and then we started getting enough. I think it's not like having enough income. I think it's more about seeing the trajectory, that you and your co-owner can jump, because we can see on month by month we're growing financially and with leads, and okay, fine, I think we've got that budget allocated, we can now stretch that out and take a leap, we can accelerate this faster. So then I jumped and we hit the ground running full-time. The name of the company, Amjad actually purchased this domain name. We saw this as a click because we're all digital, and then nothing, it's not overly thought out really. It's a spiral. So with clicking, through digital transformation and lead generation, going upwards in an upwards trajectory, hence why the arrow is pointing up as well. And so there's not too much science behind the name. It was available, we purchased it, and then the name continues. So that's the origin. That's the origin of the name. That's the origin of how we started. And I think it's a very normal origin. I think, again, having entrepreneurs jump immediately, unless you've got already customers, but I think that's another common thing, isn't it? We both had our networks, as employees. I'm talking us, meaning Capitec and us, and also the same time in the market, right? You didn't tell me actually, when did you arrive to Saudi initially from Australia? I
arrived in Saudi 2006 and I arrived in Dubai 2009.
Yeah, I see this a lot actually. We started 5 years after arriving to the country. I typically see the entrepreneurs starting up as typically understand the market because they've been here for roughly about 5 years. I see 3 to 5 years entrepreneurs of all walks of life, they see the niche, they see what they could be doing better than what's on the market as well. So they're not typically fresh off the boat, right? Like just from UK, unless they've got an existing business.
Yeah.
Fine. Like any questions, or I've got a few more questions for you actually.
Yeah, well, go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
Your initial customer or customers, how did you find your initial customers actually? Like,
yeah, we didn't have, I got to say, because we were in that military context, you're very siloed in there. So we didn't really have that much of a network, because it wasn't something that was very outwardly focused. We didn't really look at, we didn't have other clients, or we didn't have any other real network. So I think our first customer was, I mentioned it earlier, was a golf club. So Jason, my co-founder, is a very keen golfer. So he knew perhaps he was a general manager at one of the golf clubs in Abu Dhabi. And then the interactive books, like where we started, was actually a pretty good fit for their kind of approach. For marketing side. So that was kind of our official first Capitec client. I say that story, and then I remember pre-Capitec, I had actually through a friend who worked for a private a defense contractor, defense and fire fighting. He'd gone to work for them, and I must have shown him some work, and so I was building some of these interactive books for his company before we even had Capitec, and again, like, there's no company registered. I guess again, I got paid cash in hand or in my personal bank account. And the funny story with that is my Jason's wife and another friend's wife were both pregnant at the time, and they were like working. Well, they were staying at home predominantly, and they were the ones that were producing the first books for me. And so this is like pre-Capitec days. And so it actually started doing some of that work even before we had that company. But that, again, it's just through a bit of blind luck, through, mates, which is often how it comes. But yeah, our first contract was official contract as Capitec, was a marketing contract for a golf club, and nothing to do with learning at that point. The learning stuff came later.
Because that's what I was going to ask. Like, why did they choose Capitec instead of someone else? But it's who you know, right? Not typically what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, I mean, like what we talked about earlier in this podcast was, after a while, you got the credibility. You got the brand names, you got the logos, and so on, and that's kind of answers most of the questions. But when you start off, like, you're relying upon people trusting a brand new company that doesn't have any reputation in the market. It might be brand new, so they've got a
culture.
I mean, this always comes in with sales. They've got to like you. You've got to deliver. You've got to prove that you're trustworthy. You've got a decent product, of course. But yeah, the first contracts were mates.
Why do they start with a startup? Because, like, what we know now, we didn't know when we started, right? Like, in regards to how to sell, who our competitors are, like, what is our differentiation compared to everyone else? Like, it must be the passion, the excitement in the eyes.
Yeah.
I can't really, like, why? There's no good reason to work with a startup, because you don't have any portfolio, you probably don't have a team, you don't have any experience at all as a company or running a business. Like, it's a maybe price point that could be part of the reason, but you wouldn't believe how many startups there are coming to the market on a daily basis, right? So, like, you can't really compete on price points either. It's not a good way to sell yourself, actually. It's never a good a good reason to sell as an advantage compared to someone else.
Yeah, I think
never should be a strong
definitely
point.
There was a matter of that liking, and I mean we had some pretty innovative kind of tech at the time, and it was no one had seen anything quite like what we had there. I mean, we're just using an authoring tool like iBooks Author at that time, but no one was kind of utilizing it in the way that we were. And we had design. I think must have had a designer at that point, or I know that Jason did the very first initial books. And so he, got stuck in, learnt the principal's designer, then eventually we hired a designer, and so they looked really good and they were quite innovative. No one ever ended up using that software because Apple even stopped making it. So it never kind of took off. But the way we were using it, again constrained to this touchscreen iPad, was pretty cool. And I was going to say, and I completely agree with you, we were cheap. We were so cheap. And I don't know how I expected that we'd make a profit at that time. We've obviously raised our prices a few times since then. But yeah, we were very low risk, I guess, because we came in at a very cost-effective price point with something that other companies didn't actually have quite like that. And yeah, that's kind of where it started.
But it's a very good question. Why do they work with you instead of someone else? And you said it there, actually. We were doing some new tech that others weren't offering, right? So that definitely sets you apart from the competitors, the other quotations that they're receiving. You're delivering something new to the market, to what they haven't seen before. That's definitely something of value, and that's something, a good reason for them to be signing up with Capitec.
Yeah, 100%. I imagine you saw something similar with Spiral Click. It's you're doing something in a bit of a different way, and they like you, they get your enthusiasm, they trust you. So
I think there's two points, because I was thinking about it for myself as well at the same time. One, your backstory, right? One thing that you do have as a new company is your backstory. And a lot of new companies will use that backstory to get those contracts. And I think that's so underestimated as well, having a backstory of the pain point, and maybe you have the same pain point. So I think we used my backstory to sell at the beginning with being in corporate, in-house marketing. And I was the one hiring the agencies. I was the one signing those contracts for my company to utilize their services. So what I found, and what we decided this could be our selling point, is the communications in this region is really poor. In regards to customer support, customer communications, it was really a painful experience. So we thought, okay, let's use our Australian background and ethos and way of doing business as a selling point. And also, I'm sure there's other people out there experiencing the same painful customer service from agencies. So we use that. And also I think, like what Jeff Bezos says, what selling points are never going to change. Like whether it's in 2012 or 2026, people still want great customer service, right? So whether you're a software house or retail or a restaurant or a product company, everyone wants a great customer service. And it's terrible out here because there's all different nationalities and all different ways of communicating. So we use that as one of our selling points. Very honestly, we didn't have anything unique in regards to the services that we offer in a way to sell. Maybe the price point could have been a factor, especially in those early days when there was some crazy money going around. So I think maybe that was another area. But I think also how we got started was just from our networks, from friends, from ex-colleagues. When I left the corporate, they were still employees and they needed services, or it's from networking. So I suppose we used our networks to generate business, to have new conversations, to talk about the business. And that's obviously another way to close deals, by leaning on your network. The next question, though, is, I think this is a super interesting one, because we had this pain, which was eventually we're going to run out of people to talk to from our network. Our network can only take us so far in business before we now need to go find people that don't know us to start selling to them. So I'd love to ask you, what did you do once you've exhausted your own network? How did you continue to sell and find and attract new customers in those early days?
Yeah, I mean, because I was ex-military, I had no idea what I was doing. So I had no idea about marketing. I had no idea about sales. I remember the first time I had to write a proposal. I'm like, how do you write a proposal? This is obviously pre-ChatGPT, so I'm just Googling everything. So there was a lot of just figuring it out as you go. So, but I did know how to do a decent website because I'd done that before. So we had good SEO so we were discoverable. Like if you search for us, you would find us, and that's how we got like DP World. They inbound lead. That's how we got Majid Al Fatame. They searched for something like e-learning Dubai or e-learning UAE, and they found us. And so my phone number for years was on the website, and I get a phone call from guys saying, we need e-learning, come into the office tomorrow. All right.
So exciting.
Oh yeah. So so a lot of it was just organic inbound through the website. And that, I mean, there is a bit of a cap to that, of course, like to some extent. But that's where a lot of our early leads come from. That's probably become much more competitive. Now we do a lot more like referral business. So, and I'm not as structured with this as I'd like to be, but asking your clients for referrals, like who do you know within your company, because we work with big corporates a lot of the time, or in other organizations that you think could benefit from the services. So easily, I looked at the analytics from last year, and I'm sure this is true every year. By far the highest close rate of new business we get are from referrals. I don't think that's probably going to be a surprise to anybody. But
do you think that would be higher though than existing customers? I think the closure rate for existing customers could be higher.
No. Yeah, I mean new business. When I say new, I mean new companies, new clients. So the highest conversion is definitely existing clients. Yeah. The next highest is, when I say new clients, I mean it's a company that we haven't worked with before. So the highest closure rate of those are from those where we get a referral in, and then it drops off dramatically to people that haven't heard of us or worked with us before.
So you were doing that at the beginning. But you're saying you weren't doing that at the beginning. You weren't asking people to refer Capitec. I don't think that. I mean, this just comes over time from learning how to ask for help, I think, and we're a little bit too shy to ask for help at the beginning.
Yeah, I think I wasn't asking enough, but thankfully people were asking about who did this kind of thing. They'd ask their network, and we work with Capitec. And then I kind of have this running joke, it's like, all roads lead to Capitec. Eventually someone has heard of Capitec, and we get referred in anything related to digital learning, and ends up being, Damian? Yeah, I know Damian. So there's a bit of that. The pros and cons of being, a bit of the face of the company. And because we've done those trade shows, we've done that since some time, and we're pretty well known in the market. I mean, I wish I could remember more about what we did.
When did you start? When did you guys start the trade shows? Like, was it early on in the business or later?
Yeah, I guess mid. So we probably did our first trade show 2018 or 2019, pre-COVID. In Dubai, yeah. So we did the, I think it was Work 2.0. Actually, the guy that sold me that, fellow named Ben, he's still a good mate. Hopefully he'll watch this. Hi, Ben. He was the one that sold us our standard Work 2.0. I have to look up what year that was, but I think it'll be 2018 or 2019. So I guess we're 6 or 7 years in, thereabouts. A bit of a pause over COVID.
Longer.
And then, at one point we did 4 shows in 1 year, and it gets expensive, and that was probably a bit too much. So we didn't do any last year, but we're looking to start up again in that side.
So how did you generate as well as SEO? You're getting a repeat business from your new customers, but you're still new in business. You had SEO ticking in some leads as well. But then what did you do? How else were you generating leads or visibility for the brand? We offline or online marketing or advertising?
Yeah, so the offline side would have been mostly the shows. The online side, we did a little bit of advertising, but we tried to do that all ourselves with, I would say, pretty limited success. Email campaigns, all those kind of the usual suspects. Nowadays, we do a lot more on LinkedIn. But early, we weren't that well organized. It was scattershot, like just try everything because we don't know what we're doing. And then all of a sudden you get a contract.
I think we all are.
Yeah, 100%.
Honestly, I
100%.
think it feels like a little bit like COVID, right? Like COVID felt like a little bit like the startup where you just go for anything. Like you said, scattergun approach where you just
yes,
I'll try everything, right? And COVID was a little bit like also the same where oh man, we just got to figure out how to get through COVID and I'll try everything new, right? And these podcasts took off because we're all stuck at home, but
Yes.
It is really just trying anything and everything to see what sticks at the beginning. I really felt like I vividly remember this in our early journey, which was, I would say, in the first 12 months, where we kind of exhausted our network. You know, we spoke to all of our friends and socially, you know, for our social clubs, or could be from our professional network as well. And we got some business out of them. But that exhausted, you know, like, what do you do after that? Like you said, you started email marketing. I have to say, I bet this happens a lot. We tried email marketing. It completely failed because we didn't know how to do email marketing, right? You saw back in the day, like, this is a funny story. We thought, okay, so we just put out an email to as many people as possible and we're going to get some leads. That's so easy. Just do an email and put in some, but we didn't have any customers. So I don't know if you saw this, or back in the day, there was like email lists that were floating around, and 100,000 emails of like all of the Australians in Dubai, and here's all the phone numbers. And we acquired one of those lists. I think we used MailChimp at the time, and I think we sent out an email to like 100,000 people. And you know what happened? MailChimp closed down our account. We got completely closed down because like we're completely spamming people. We're completely spamming people with no idea what we're doing. And we got 0 leads from that, of course. Like, and we weren't allowed to go back to MailChimp for some time.
But you wouldn't know unless you tried, right? I mean, and these are all part of that learning process, like, you know, figuring out deliverability and the messaging and the call to action and all these kind of things. But, mate, there's so much great lessons there to pull from all these years. But well, I guess as we kind of wrap this up, I suppose, mate, we'll publish this in the next weeks, I guess. And is there any kind of final messages you want to kind of close out on for this, I think, episode 1?
I think for the listeners or listener, hi mum, you know, it's for the listener out there, thank you for listening. But I think more so, like, what can they expect next? From my perspective, I love this backstory. I think there's heaps of value there, and hopefully a bit of a laugh and people can relate with, who are starting that business journey. Yeah. I think maybe if you're interested, it's a fantastic story which can't be done in 45 minutes. We can maybe continue that story of how we went from that 6 months to 1 year up until I think year 5 for me feels like it's like that learning phase where you start to really figure out everything in business, which could totally be a separate podcast. We've got a whole lot up our sleeve as well, but I think the backstory is a great one as well, just to document for everyone else.
Yeah, and then I guess when we move into interviewing others, like, every founder's got a fascinating story. I mean, that's where that Golf Founders comes from, and there's going to be lessons to draw from, you know, our 25 years experience, and then you know, the others that we'll bring on that will have similar stories and their own unique values to bring to this. So
I think they are very similar as well. I was just about to say the same, just what you said there. Like, ours is quite similar how we started, and I can't wait to interview more people. And I think we really do need to focus on the founding origins and how they got through their first year. I think that first year is absolutely brutal. I can't wait to learn more from others and hear those stories. Like, I never mentioned, but we worked 7 days a week, you know, for that first 12 months. We worked our asses off. I think we need to appreciate that. I can't wait to hear from others how brutal it was, because it was like Elon Musk says, it's kind of like eating glass and looking to the abyss, right? Because it's so painful.
I love that quote.
And no one speaks about that, but everyone wants to get into it. It's so trendy today. So I can't wait to do more of this with you. And likewise, it really is. It was been fun.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Well, enjoyed that, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Subscribe for more stories from the Gulf.